All right, welcome to the Land Cruiser 250 series and welcome to the TFL slip test. Now in this test, we get various wheels stuck on purpose in these rollers to see how four-wheel drive systems work, to see how traction control systems work and locking diffs work to get us unstuck. And believe it or not, I don't believe I've ever run the new 250 series Land Cruiser through this test. So we're gonna try a bunch of different modes. We're going to try multi-terrain select. We're going to try crawl control. We're going to try the center diff locked, center diff unlocked, high range, low range, a whole bunch of different combinations and figure out what is going on with this Toyota Land Cruiser. Now the first test is the front wheel slip test. So we're going to drive it like you would drive it every day. Imagine you're driving along, you hit some snow. How is the four-wheel drive system going to react? So we're going to go center diff unlocked, high range, no modes, just normal everyday driving. And let's see if we can get unstuck. So with the front wheel stuck on the rollers, this full-time system is likely to start slipping them a little bit, but with that Torsen limited slip differential in the center of the vehicle distributing torque front and back, it didn't take much slipping before we got unstuck. But let's prove that this center locker does indeed have a difference. What happens when we lock that center and then force both front and rear drive shafts to spin at the same speed? We should just drive right on off. And we did. There you go. So that's one of the unique things about this Land Cruiser compared to a, well, most foreigners at least, is that this is a full-time 4x4 system, whereas most foreigners use a part-time system that requires you to go from 2 high to 4 high. In this Land Cruiser at all times, it's technically in four-wheel drive, but that center locker will have a big impact when you're going through the snow. So for a fun comparison, I thought it would be interesting to bring along a vehicle with a very similar philosophy in a lot of ways to its four-wheel drive system, but also a very different execution. So this is a Land Rover Discovery 5, roughly the same size, shape, and kind of biodynamic as that Land Cruiser. This one's maybe a little bit more luxe. Actually, this one's a 2017, so it's much cheaper than that Land Cruiser. But both of these have a full-time four-wheel drive system with a center differential. They both have low range. They both crucially have off-road modes, but I think we're going to see some differences in how these two systems behave. So first up, in the Land Rover, let's go ahead and do the front wheel slip test just like we did in the Toyota. Into neutral, let the vehicle settle, and then I'm not engaging any modes, high range, nothing, into drive. Let's see if we can get unstuck. Okay, so nothing. I mean, there was no slipping at all in the Discovery, which is interesting because once again, fundamentally, they both have similar four-wheel drive systems, except the Land Rover is a little bit more automatic into how it engages. So whereas that Land Cruiser has a locking center and rear diff, the Land Rover doesn't have a locking rear diff at all in this instance, although it was an option. And it does have a center locker, but it's all automatic. So there's no buttons to push, nothing to turn on or engage. And you could see on the front wheel slip test, it was ready to go right off the bat, even in, no special program. Okay, so same test, rear wheel slip test. I'm gonna try this with the center diff unlocked. And let's go ahead and see if we can get unstuck. Rear wheels are spinning. A little bit of accelerator. Now quite a lot of accelerator. Now I'm actually at full throttle right now. That's all she's got. Of course, traction control is limiting the spin. Very interesting. Now I kind of suspected that we'd see the same thing at the front where that Torsen would start distributing torque to the front, but it's not really happening. I am curious though, if I disable the traction control and get some more wheel speed, it's not really Torsening like it's supposed to. Just for giggles, we couldn't get off the rear wheel slip test with the center diff unlocked in high range, but what if we go into low range, center diff unlocked? Will that get us any better results? So low range, spinning, spinning, spinning. Okay, so what happened there is it took the brakes to really engage before we got unstuck. It was a pretty harsh transition of spinning, spinning, and then moving, and you could actually hear the ABS pump working. But yeah, kind of an interesting result there. I'd be curious to see the manual locking diff here and see if that gets us unstuck. It's still blinking. There it goes. Very interesting. Now, I'm curious to why it was easy on the front, but challenging in the rear. If you guys know in the comment section below, drop me a comment below. Rear wheel slip test in the Discovery. Both rear wheels stuck in the rollers. Let's see if we can get unstuck. So, high range, normal modes, not going to engage any special programs. In 3, 2, 1, off the brake, onto the accelerator. I'm almost feels like the rollers are broken. That's how quick this four-wheel drive system is. There's no slipping, even in high range with nothing engaged. It's pretty crazy. So for the next test, we are going to the diagonal slip test, and we're going back to our standard of high range diff unlocked. This is once again how you would expect to drive this car every day. And look, this is where this car is going to spend 99.999% of its time as high range center diff unlocked. So if you're driving around, get some snow, get some ice, how will it perform? Let's find out. Into drive, diagonal slip test is left front, right rear at a total loss of traction. Onto the accelerator. Little bit of slip. Okay, now that was a very, very, very good result. That was awesome. So it didn't take hardly any slipping before we were able to just simply drive out of this predicament. This is where Toyotas really shine, are when we get these cross trench situations. Left front, right rear here. I'll give it one more try just to show you. Just like a tiny bit of slipping, traction control engages. Brakes to spinning wheels, boom, we're off. So very good result there. All right, diagonal slip test in the Land Rover. Left front, right rear on the ground. Into neutral, vehicle settled into drive, high range, no special program. Onto the accelerator, a little bit of slip, pulled us right down. I would say maybe the Toyota performed a little bit better in that test, but both of them were pretty darn good. Now we're stepping it up a notch. So in this next test, 3 wheels are stuck. Both fronts and the left rear stuck in the rollers. Only the right rear is on the ground. Starting once again in high range, everything unlocked, normal mode. So we're in drive here. There's a lot of pressure on just one wheel to get us unstuck. Traction control braking, but we are not going anywhere. Let's go ahead and try to lock up the center differential. See if that helps us out at all. Traction control is blinking, but we're still stuck. Let's go play with some drive modes now. I think we're at that point. Now, confusingly, the Land Cruiser has Eco, Normal, and Sport drive modes and a couple different multi-terrain selects. So we're in auto right now. And then let's go into, we've got dirt, sand, mud, and deep snow. Let's try dirt first. Once again, high range, center diff locked. Nope. There it goes. Come on, it's thinking. Come on. Oh, the brakes are trying to grab, but we're not quite there yet. Let's go into the mud's going to be less traction intervention. Same thing with sand, I bet. So let's try deep snow. This is probably where we're going to see a lot of traction intervention. No, that's actually quite a bit less. I guess that would make sense for deep snow. What if we stick her in a low range? Let's go ahead and give that a go. So we still have a couple tools at our disposal. We still have crawl control, and we still have that rear locker we can play with. But I'm just trying to get through it with the sensor diff locked. So we're in low range. Let's go into the rock setting. Okay, let's see. This should do it. Oh yeah, immediately. Okay. So as expected, in the rock setting in the low range, we saw huge amounts of intervention from the traction control right away, and it got us unstuck almost like that. Let's go ahead and try that one more time using crawl control. Now, crawl control relies heavily on wheel speed sensors and the computer to break spinning wheels to get us unstuck, and it is an incredible system in real life. It works incredibly well. Let's see if it also works in the roller. So going into drive, crawl control, we've got a number of different speeds here. We're gonna go ahead and stick it in the lowest speed. Let's see what happens. Yeah, completely automatic system. Didn't even have to touch the gas for it to do that. And then lastly, and this should be the best performing of them all, we're gonna go low range, center, and rear locked up. Crawl control deactivating because I'm in neutral. There we go, rear locked up. Might as well use crawl control again just to show that. In 3, 2, 1, off the brake, computer takes over, drives right off. So what I was hoping to prove here, which I think I did a somewhat okay job of, is different modes really do have a big impact on the Land Cruiser four-wheel drive system. You know, in high range, everything unlocked, it's very good on the road. You're not going to get any kind of weird crabbing. Pretty good for light traction loss situations, but when things get even a little bit differentiated front to back, use a center locker. Start playing with the modes in high range, but if you get stuck then, stick it in a low range, and if you really get stuck, stick it in a rock, and if you're hopelessly stuck, crawl control, and for the max traction, crawl control plus rear locker. So that was a very good result. All right, so three-wheel slip test. Now, as you recall, in the Toyota, we had to go in a low range and start pushing some buttons to get unstuck. Curious to see if the Rover can do it in high range. So backing onto the rollers. There we go. Neutral, just like the Toyota, nice and settled. High range, nothing engaged. In 3, 2, 1, onto the accelerator. It's pretty good. So in that test in the Toyota, I was fully to the floor, traction control cutting in, you know, wasn't getting anywhere. In this Land Rover, I was maybe a throttle pulled us down. And once again, that didn't need a low range. But for comparison, let's go ahead and stick it in low and start playing with those modes and see if it'll perform a little better. So this particular Discovery doesn't have the optional rear locking diff. It was available, but it was an automatic locker. And that Land Cruiser did have a locker, so that's got a pretty distinct advantage here. But I still want to see if this will get unstuck. So we're going to go into low range, in the terrain response modes, and I'm going to stick it into rock crawl. There we go. And this also is a fully automatic center locking diff as well. So that's not something you can control as a user. So we're in neutral, right rear on the ground, into drive, onto the accelerator. Okay, so clearly it works, right? It does work. Now, the Land Cruiser with that locking diff, more effective, right? Because you've got equal wheel speed going to both rear wheels, but even still, without a locker, it works pretty good. Final test, one front wheel on the ground. We're starting back in high range, nothing locked up. And I think our results will probably be pretty similar. Full throttle. Yeah, okay. So, similar to what we saw before, let's go ahead and lock up the center diff in high range. Let's go ahead and engage multi-terrain select. Let's try mud this time, why not? Yeah, a lot of wheel spin as you'd expect what you want in mud, but not what you necessarily want to get unstuck. How about sand? Same thing. Okay, so high range isn't working, so let's go ahead into low range, center diff locked. Come on, there we go, low range engaged. Multi-terrain select, we're going right to rock. Typically that's going to be the most aggressive. And once again, Toyota proves they do build a really good traction system. So just a little bit of slipping on the throttle got us right out of there. Let's go ahead and try crawl control with one front wheel on the ground. Crawl control engaged, lowest speed. for the most control here. Yeah, there you go. And it pulled us right down. Obviously, having the rear locker on wouldn't help in this situation because there's no front locker. I mean, basically, you have to learn your Land Cruiser. So depending on the terrain, maybe you want some wheel spin. Mud's probably going to be the mode for you. Maybe you want some wheel spin high speed, mud high range, all the way to, okay, I've got a really difficult rock crawl in front of me. Well, then I'm going to want low range, sensor, maybe even rear diff lock on. And if there's a lot of articulation in the front, maybe even crawl control for that most intervention. So you got to learn your Land Cruiser in order for it to work the best. Front wheel slip test in the Discovery high range. Nothing special engaged. There we go. Let's see if the Rover can do it in high. Okay, into drive. Oh, it's thinking about it. Come on, Land Rover. Oh, okay, so we are stuck in this one. It's not coming off. So let's go into neutral, low range. And then let's go into the rock crawl setting here. There's suspension coming up. There we go. Let's see if we can get unstuck in this setting. Yeah, okay, there we go. So very interesting results, right? I mean, I think what we're proving here is for everyday use, talking snow, light trails, apples to apples, no modes engaged, just high range to high range, everything unlocked. The Land Rover system's faster and more responsive, which is pretty crazy because that Toyota system is a pretty good system. But if you lock up that Land Cruiser, center and rear, use crawl control, that is going to be the best solution. Now, this does have a mode in this Land Rover we can try. It's not quite crawl control. How are those rollers looking, Case?
I don't see them. Oh, yeah. Let me scoot this one up.
This does have a mode called low traction launch, which is sort of kind of like a Kroger brand crawl control. We'll see if that helps at all. We'll give it a go. So low range, rock crawl engaged into neutral. Okay, and activate low traction launch. No, this is definitely worse. Yeah, that is not what we want. That's for like snow, and it does say it's for snow and auto setting. But if you want to get unstuck in a Land Rover, rock crawl is the way to go. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, I mean, look, they're both impressive systems. It's just interesting, you know, the Land Rover relies a little bit more heavily on computers, and it's just a fast responding system, I'd say, in a whole. The Toyota is a little bit more reliant on the actual buttons and locking buttons to make it work, but they both kind of do what you'd expect them to do. Of course, you're all going to say that the Land Rover is a piece of junk and won't make it to 90,000 miles, but this one has 90,011 miles. So we're on borrowed time, people. All right, now we're going through the trenches course here at the Onyx off-road course, and we're going to find out how does this four-wheel drive system work in the real world, starting in the Land Cruiser. So we're going to start off in how you drive it every day. Once again, high range, nothing locked up, and we're also going to go no special modes or programs. Curious to see if it'll work. So just relying completely on computers with nothing engaged. So goal with this is to go as slow as we can while still making it up. We want to make it hard on the vehicle. So we're going through this nice little transition. Ooh, pretty good articulation, especially with that solder axle. So far, so good in the Cruiser. Okay, we're gonna dip the left front. We're gonna get some spinning here. Okay. Working the wheel, that's now full throttle. And that's stuck. That's not making it through at all. I'll give it just a little bit of a bump here. And we're going backwards. Okay, so it's not going to happen with nothing locked up, no modes engaged. Let's see if the Land Rover can do it in the same setup. All right, Land Rover time. Land Rover has improved the Discovery a little bit since this came out, and they may even have like their own version of crawl control available now. I'm not totally sure. I haven't driven one in a hot sec, except for ours, of course. But let's see if we have better luck getting up this hill in the Land Rover. So we're gonna go, we'll even do normal suspension height to keep it as fair as possible. So normal height selected, high range, auto setting here. Nothing going on. I'm curious to see if we can make it up where the Toyota got stuck. So same line, same approach with speed. We want to take this nice and slow. So far so good. Okay, so this is the bump that the Land Cruiser got stuck on. So I'm going to do the same thing, lose all momentum. I'm going to start lifting some tires. Oh, but look at that. Oh man, the Land Rover system, it works. Here we go, come on. Recommended lifting to off-road height. Yep, that would make sense. Recommend low range is selected. So it's saying, hey, what are you doing to me? But it still worked. All right, so pretty big difference, right? And that was about as apples to apples as I can make it. Just your standard street mode. This Land Rover is on even worse tires than the Land Cruiser, and it still was able to cruise right up that. So yeah, very impressive as to what Land Rover can do in just your normal setting. So now we're going back to the Toyota and we're gonna go into low range, and let's go ahead and put it in the rock crawl setting, but once again, leave everything unlocked. So low range like that, there we go. Let's go multi-terrain select into rock. There we go. Easy. And let's see what happens. Got that first transition. Very good articulation for, well, essentially a family vehicle in this Land Cruiser. I do like that. This is where we got stuck last time. Okay. Now onto the accelerator. You can hear that traction control system working. On to the next transition. I'm going to lose all momentum here. Yep, basically come to a stop. On to the accelerator. Oh yeah, it's working great. Very, very impressive. Okay, now we're going to do opposite ends of the car. Slipping a little bit. Traction control, trying to figure it out. Okay, very good. So we made it up there. Obviously, we made it up where it wouldn't do it in just the standard high range mode. But I still think this Land Cruiser's got more. So we're gonna do it one more time, but we're gonna go low range, center locked, rear lock, and crawl control. So we're gonna go max attack on this Toyota after we see if the Land Rover makes it up in low range. All right, so next test, just like that Land Cruiser, we're gonna go in a low range rock crawl mode. And then of course I can't manually select my lockers, so I'm not going to, because I can't do it. But I can go into low range here, push a little button, clicks on, then it's going to raise the suspension. Let's go into the rock crawl program. There we go. Let's see if we can make it up easier than we did before. Okay. Quite a bit more suspension in the off-road height, but potentially less travel. Okay, so started slipping that left front, but no worries. Then up on the right front here, I'll lose all momentum. Come to a stop on purpose. On the throttle. Wow, it is so good. Even the Disco 5, which kind of looks like a suppository, if you ask me, compared to the other Land Rovers, it's got a seriously legit four-wheel drive system. And just like that, we're up. Nothing to it. But that's as capable as we can make the Land Rover. However, in the Land Cruiser, we do have selectable lockers. We can go a step further. Land Rover. God, I can't get this Land Rover Land Cruiser thing out of my head. All right, max attack mode. Center locker, engaged. Rear locker, not engaged, but blinking. Oh, neither of them are engaged, but they're both blinking. Oh my gosh. There we go. Okay, and then let's go into crawl control. Let's do the slowest speed. Actually, we'll do the second slowest speed. My foot now is completely off the gas. This is all the cruiser. Oh yeah, look at that performance. Oh, feels so good. Come on, Land Cruiser. Now this is on street tires. Both these SUVs are on street tires to keep it fair. And it is just crawling. I mean, a little bit of slip, but not much, just some intervention from that terrain response. And look at that. Boom! Up like it was nothing. All right, cool. So yeah, when you get this thing on max attack, it's incredible. But you gotta know how what you're doing, or you may end up a little stuck. All right, well there we have it. So an interesting result. I think from an everyday standpoint, from a driving in the winter standpoint, and even on light terrain, Land Rover's got a better, more responsive four-wheel drive system. But if you want to go further off-road, well certainly the manually activatable center and rear locking differential on that Land Cruiser are awesome. Plus, throttle control is pretty magic. That's very, very cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This has been Tommy behind the camera case. We'll see you in the next one.